Hello, Sarah Jane here from the Rehab Hub. I think I'm live. So I wanted to come on and do a little video about the classes that we offer at the Rehab Hub in both our studio locations over in Canning Park and the West End one, which I'm in just now, classes. So I'm inside the Reformer studio. So if I just kind of step out of the line of vision, you can see this is our West End Reformer studio. And many of the questions that we get is, where do I start? What class do I start with? So if you have got no injuries, and I'm going to just assume for all of this at the moment, and then at the end I'll talk to you about if you've got some injuries, what you do. But if you've got no injuries, you're fit, healthy, and you have never done Reformer before, or you've maybe done, you've maybe got some experience of mat Pilates, you've maybe never done anything before, or you've maybe done Reformer classes elsewhere. It's difficult for us to say what you've done because Pilates is very varied depending on where you've done it and who you've done it with. Okay, so the Pilates that you have done in maybe a class that you've attended in the past, maybe has been a Reformer class, but is it Pilates? And I know that that sounds really confusing. So it's really important that we get you started well, and it depends what you're looking for as well. So for us here at the Rehab Hub, we are delivering Pilates. It is actually Pilates. So over in our Canning Park clinic and studio, we have all of the Pilates equipment. So not just the reformers, but we have the Cadillac, we have the Wandu chair, we have the towers, all of it. And we have a kind of rehab facility there as well as group classes. The West End, we only have the reformer classes. We don't have the same setup that we do in our big flagship Southside centre. So if you're looking to do reformer and you're looking to do it, I suppose, properly, for want of a better word, and actually be taught, then definitely we are a place to consider. If you are thinking about you're wanting something that is maybe more, how would I describe it, fitness-based, hip-based, then look elsewhere. There's plenty of places that offer those types of services. That's not us. So if you're looking for something with really loud music, strobe lights and that sort of thing, that is not, it's not Pilates. It's, I'd probably call it maybe Pilates inspired. And that's okay, but it's not what we deliver. So if you're coming and you're wanting to get benefits of Pilates, then listen on. So when you look at our timetable, you'll be thinking, right, where do I start? So if you've got no injuries, this is for you. The first thing to do is download our app. I've put the link, so wherever you're watching this video, there will be a link that will take you to our booking app. And if I show you on here, our booking app, we use a system called GlowFox. And when you download it, it will look something like this, right? You will have classes, facilities, and courses. So classes, when you click that, it takes you to the timetable. Now, when you're looking at the timetable, it's all colour coordinated. I don't know if you can see this. So the classes in blue, and it will say Canning Park Studio, and in red ones, can you see that? It will say West End Studio. So it will always be very clear where you're going and what you're booking. You can use the subway. So there's Partick Station is literally, I mean, a stone's throw away from where we are here, just off Crow Road. And you could be in Canning Park in about 6 minutes on the subway from there. So you can easily use both of our facilities, very, very easy. And there's also free parking at the West End Retail Park over here. And over in Canning Park, you've got free parking, on-street parking, so dead easy. Public transport galore in both places. The train's a wee bit more tricky. There's a subway over in Canning Park. So you've got Canning Park or Shields Roads, both pretty much they're about a 7-minute walk from the studio to either subway, to be honest. It doesn't matter which one you got off, it's kind of equidistant. Or you've got tons of buses on Paisley Road West over in the south side. West End probably a wee bit more connected. We're literally, as I said, right across from Partick train station. Tons going on there. And there's also, you've got, so Partick train station, you've got the subway there as well. So Partick Underground, and you've got, I mean, tons of bus routes as well. So loads and loads of ways to get to us. Probably the West End is a bit easier to get to be honest. So When you're kind of starting for the first time, what to do is download our app. When you download our app and you're new to us, we basically manually add you in a credit. So it won't go on right away. So if you're thinking, right, I'm going to download that now, it might take us 10, 15 minutes, depending on when you, I mean, if you do it in the middle of the night, it will not be done until the next morning. So it's something that we manually do because we check each person that's coming in, basically. So you're not making hundreds of accounts and getting loads of free classes. So we check that it is a new person, and then we add on a free class pass. So if you've never been into us before, or maybe you've used ClassPass and you've only ever used ClassPass, download our app. If you're on our app, you will get a free class added to you. Now, for new people, or even if you've just maybe dabbled with the reformer, what to do is book the fundamental beginner sessions. Now, what will happen? So, it'll say fundamental building strong Pilates foundation. So tonight, for example, Sarah Trevorrow, who's been one of our Pilates teachers for too many years that we'll not mention Sarah, and she's teaching a class tonight. Now it's fully booked tonight, which is great. I think we're only just opened and it's fully booked. So fantastic. Well done, Sarah. And she's teaching a fundamental reformer. That is for people that maybe have never been on it before. We usually say do a few of those classes. We'll throw out, people ask, how many should I do before I then go into other classes? There isn't an exact number to that. It depends how you go on. Some people only need 3, 4. Some people need 2. Some people need 10. There isn't a magic number. It's just how you're feeling. It's a slower pace. We take the time to go over the machine. We take the time. It's almost more like a workshop base. We'll stop and start and show you things. Everything's demonstrated. It's much more explanation. It is going through the moves, going through the fundamentals. We take time to explain articulation of the spine, pelvic floor, core engagement, breath work. So it's getting all those fundamental elements into your practice. So that's where to start. And even if you've done reformer before, it would really serve you well if you didn't do anything like that at the very start of your journey. Actually taking that time to do a bit of learning will do you the world of good. It really will. You'll get better results. You will feel what you're meant to feel and not just kind of make shapes with your body and look like you're doing something. So your results will be far better. Then we've got the next kind of, once you've kind of, where do you go after you've done quite a few beginners and you're like, right, I'm sick of hearing this 20 million times. I'm done. I'm good. Let me out and let me go to another class. Well, generally, when you're going to beginners classes, we generally just let you gauge that. Nobody's going to gatekeep you getting into other classes unless there was something really far wrong that you were doing, that there was concern there. We would say, look, don't book a class just now. Maybe you need some one-to-ones or whatever. But unless there's something really to worry about, it's really down to you when you then start to feel comfortable about getting into other classes. We generally recommend from there, go and do a classic. Now, the classic format with us, what we try and do with that is keep it as true to the source as possible. So if you'd have gone into Mr. Pilates' studio in New York, it would have had pictures on the wall, and you would have been in and you would have done your core moves. You'd have probably seen Joe to go through what you were doing for your body, and you'd be working on your program, almost like an open gym session. And there's these key kind of, I suppose, sequence of moves that you do. And that's what we try and do in those sessions. So it's more true to the source. It's more of that classic format, your classic, taking you through those classical moves with a contemporary twist on it. But we're trying to stay as close to the source as possible and not losing the essence of Pilates and the work that Joe did. But we also really appreciate that where we are now at this point, research has moved on. Joe's work is amazing and it works amazingly well, but we appreciate that some of you need something different. And I know that I get a bit bored and you want to do something different. So this is where some of the other classes have come in. So the first one that springs to mind would be tone. So tone is taking the essence of your classic format, but with a little bit of spices on top. So it's a bit faster paced. There might be a bit of music getting played in that session. We might see a jump board out, so we might be doing some cardiovascular work in there. There might be some dynamic moves happening in there. There might be weights involved. There might be circles, Pilates circles, balls. it just gives that teacher a bit more autonomy to add a flavour, but there will always be the essence of that fundamental classical format in there, but they will add a little bit of spice to it. Is maybe the best way to describe it. It's not that you wouldn't be able to cope with that. It's just what we would say is it's maybe not your ideal first class straight after doing a beginners. Try a couple of classics first, get yourself into the pace of a class, because when you're in a traditional, like your traditional class where it's not a beginner's class, more's expected of you. It's expected that you know how to do certain things. It's not that we just abandon you and leave you, but if we are saying, okay, get your feet into straps, get yourself set up, legs up in tabletop position, we're in this position of your spine. There's just less hand holding through it, but the teacher will always be explaining, and if need be, they will demonstrate as well. But we're not a studio where your teacher will always be on a machine doing the moves that you're doing. And that comes from basically, if your teacher's doing the moves as you're doing them, the teacher's not teaching. They should be up, adjusting you, fixing you, teaching you, spotting you, correcting things round the room, looking at everybody. They shouldn't be just screaming at you through a mic and shouting things at you while they're doing a workout themselves. That isn't teaching. That's basically just leading a fitness class, or guiding a fitness class. That isn't what we do. So you won't always have somebody on a machine, and especially in those kind of tone, unless it's something quite different that the instructor's going to be doing. They're not necessarily going to be demonstrating things. So if you're coming into a kind of a much more classic and a tone type class, it's expected that you have got a fair understanding of what those moves are. So you'll know your tabletop position, you'll know what the 100 is, you'll know your legs and strap series, you'll know your short box series, you'll know your long stretch series. So these are not all new terms to you. And if they are, then you should go back into your fundamentals. You've kind of missed some key components. Just do that work. If you skip it, honestly, it's almost like trying to bake that cake without any recipe, and you've never done it before. You think you've got the right ingredients, it kind of looks all right. Maybe that'll rise, maybe it'll not. So just take the time and learn those basics. So your instructor will not always be on demonstrating. There will not always be an instructor on the machine. Okay, they are around when I'm teaching. The only time I might stop the class and say, right, everybody have a watch of this. We're going to break something down. Sometimes I'll do that in class. That kind of ruins the flow. That's more of a workshopy thing. But sometimes it's needed. Maybe, there's sometimes as an instructor, you'll press the emergency stop button and say, right, everybody just stop. Let's do this properly. Let's break this down. Let's pull this back. Sometimes that happens, but you'll not have somebody always on the machine that you are following. Okay, so just bear that in mind. But your teacher will demonstrate if there's something that is needed. Your teacher will be around adjusting you, fixing you, spotting you, on you, making sure that you're aware, that they're helping you sensate where you need to feel that motion and movement. So very hands-on. They're not going to be just on a machine kind of doing their own thing that you're then following. And there's places elsewhere that if that's what you want to do, go and seek that out. That is more of a fitness-based session. That isn't what we would do. We're here to teach you not to be doing our own workout while we're guiding you. So that is your kind of classic and tone classes. We've also got another class on the timetable called Dynamic Core. Now this one is there. And it's one that we've kind of played about with the name of. And what this one does is it's really more of a Pilates inspired session. I wouldn't even call it Pilates, if I'm being honest. Some of the principles are there, but it's not Pilates. It is an inspired by Pilates, I would say. And that's okay. So if you want to kind of get a bit of a sweat on, you want to get your workout up, then that's what the dynamic core is there for. It's definitely a class that will make you sweat. You'll feel it the next day. But don't think that your classic and your tone classes, actually your classic class, in my humble opinion, I think you get more out of them than some of the other ones, because you're doing the work well. And when you're doing the work well, you get the results, you get the really good results. But sometimes you just want to let off some steam, don't you? And you just want to play some good music and just go. And that's what your dynamic core is. So the jump boards will be on. You'll have weights probably. You'll be doing things that will make you burn. Lots of dynamic movements, working all the big muscle groups in the body. So you'll feel a bit of that kind of DOMS, that delayed onset muscle fatigue, over the next few days after you've done a dynamic core class. So that is it. That is our main classes. So the first thing to do is to download the app. When you download the app, you'll see the thing that says timetable. Down the very bottom of our app, you've got bookings, so you can see all your bookings. Memberships, if you hit that, you can actually become a member with us. So you can pay monthly. It's definitely the cheapest way to do your classes. But you can also just buy credits. So there's two wee tabs at the top of that membership area. And the first one will say buy membership. The second one says buy credits. And you've got all sorts of options from one class right up to 50 classes. The more classes you purchase at one go, the cheaper you get your credits for. But membership will always be your cheapest option, because for us as a business, it just works better for us. We know how many people are members, we know how many classes, we know how much revenue is coming in. It's not always this, we don't know who's purchasing class credits and when. So that works quite well for us. And then in terms of the community, we've got a community tab. Many of you will ask, you'll see on the timetable, there's a session called Open Gym. Now, the Open Gym is for when you are wanting to use, if I show you on this, so you will see there is a Kinning Park Open Reformer. That is for you to come in and use the reformer on your own. It was something we developed during COVID, if we're allowed to mention that word anymore. And we brought that in because people didn't want to be in groups. So we had this option where we had pre-recorded a lot of sessions, and you could come in and choose what you wanted to do and then literally do it in the studio. It's not instructor led. Definitely you need to be fairly confident on the machine. It's not something for complete novices and new people. So you definitely need to have had at least, I would say, 10 sessions on the reformer. That number will be different for different people. But if you're completely new, don't book an Open Gym session. We wouldn't let you use it. It would be flagged up. We'd be like, that's a new person. What are they doing booking an Open Gym? No. And you wouldn't have a clue what you were doing. So safety is first and foremost. So until you feel confident in working your way around the machine, we wouldn't want you doing that. But essentially what this community tab down here is for the Open Gym sessions. So you can come in and you can literally just choose a class. So if you want to do a posture Pilates, a classic reformer, there's actually even mat-based Pilates on here, SI joint mobility stuff. There's rehab focus ones. These are ones that we'd filmed for Brenda had a hip replacement, so we'd done a specific rehab program for Brenda to come in and do in our Open Gym sessions. These are the types of things we can do. And we've got tower ones. Please don't do that unless you've done the classes, right? So it's like we're trusting, we're saying, look, only do what you've been taught. Tone reformer, loads of tone with disco feel, stretch reformer, jump and tone, express sessions, classic mobilize and stretch, tons of them, right? So you can basically just go in and choose a class and work your way along and do it. So that's what the Open Gym sessions are for. At the moment, they're only over in Kinning Park, and the reason they're only over there is because we're only open in here currently when there's classes on or when the clinic's open. So it's not at the moment, but that's watch this space very soon. We probably will have that open soon as we develop the clinic over in this area better as or more established. So I've been in today working in the clinic. There's a small clinic room upstairs, and actually the space I'm standing in this area of the studio, you can't really see it from where I am, but there's quite a big space around me. This area here is going to be converted into another clinic room for the clinic in the coming weeks, so that we've got an accessible clinic downstairs for those that are maybe in a wheelchair or people who can't do stairs. Essentially, we've got loads of people that have had joint replacements, or they've got mobility issues or neurological conditions that they can't get up the stairs. So this will be another clinic area in this area. So we will be open, and once we've got the place open more throughout the day, there will be open gym sessions over in the West End as well, because there always has to be somebody in the building. But remember, with your open gym sessions, nobody's physically guiding you. You are watching on your smart device. Bring your earphones and off you go. And there's little stands if you look in Kinning Park. There's little stands to put either your iPad or your phone on, so you can just essentially do your workout there with your reformer. It's it's something that we've continued and we've left on because, as I said, it came out of COVID, and the feedback of it, because a lot of people, I mean, some people would never ever use it, but we've got a lot of people that love it, that really they love the flexibility of being able to actually come in and at a time that's maybe more convenient, or they're maybe working something specific in their body, or they're maybe wanting to do a specific classic class that they're thinking, actually, that would be great for me to do. Or maybe one of our physios has given them specific rehab to do on the reformer, so they can come in and do that in their own time and just book an open gym session and do it that way. So that's why it's there. It's not for everybody, but so that you know what it is. I think that's me covered all of the classes. The only other thing to say about our booking app is when you go onto it, you will see that there is facilities and courses. So inside facilities, we that's for primarily for instructors. So our instructors are able to book out our rooms. So, for example, if one of our instructors wants to run a pop-up class or a particular workshop, then they basically rent the space, and that's for them to basically rent the space. That's what that is. So they can book that out. And the other one is courses. So courses, basically, primarily this is kind of works. I think it says workshops rather than courses. This is for when we are running workshops. So look out in that area, because what we do with that is, for example, I've been speaking to a few clients about this just this week, taking small groups of you and really breaking down particular moves. I very often do a focus of the feet, the foot, knee, hip connection workshop. I usually run that for other allied health professionals and fitness professionals. So that's usually a really popular one. General public's allowed to book into that as well. So the course or the workshop area is exactly that. It's usually something where we're maybe breaking down moves, helping you advance your practice, taking you from that beginner novice maybe into more intermediate and advanced moves as you progress, and just taking the time to really start to break things down. Or we might have particular focus on like particular body parts. So I am a musculoskeletal podiatrist, so my absolute specialism is the lower body, but prior to that, I've a history of sports therapy. So sports therapy prior to that, and before I did all of that, my undergrad sports and exercise science, so that overall I can work the full body, certainly from a Pilates perspective. But my absolute specialism and my area that I love is anything from the pelvis down. So I do a lot of work with workshops, mainly for it might be other physios or other allied, physios and podiatrists. So, but a lot of them would be appropriate for the public, especially my foot workshop. So I do a lot of focus on the feet workshop. I've done that quite a lot over the years, and with that one, I tend to get a lot of the general public going onto that as well, or other health professionals that are wanting to dig deeper into understanding the foot so they can better help their patients. But a lot of clients like to come on it because they want to learn more about that area of the body. They've maybe got some issues with their feet, and it can be really helpful for them. So we do stuff like that. So that's your workshop area on the app. And as I said, it's always worth, if you've never been into us before, download the app and you do get your first class for free, but book a beginner session, please. Book the beginner session, because if you book something else, it would just be a disaster. But we wouldn't be able to let you do it. It would not be fair on you or anybody else. Now, if you've got injuries, so all of that stuff that I've just spoken about would be assuming that you've got nothing wrong with you. If you've got injuries, it's a different matter. It would not be appropriate for you to go into a general population class. That's one, it's doing you a massive disservice. It's probably going to leave you worse off than when you came in. It's not going to help you. It's not fair on that instructor to think that they can help you in a large group setting where they've maybe had 10 seconds with you for you to try and explain your healthcare condition or your injury. It's not appropriate. So what you would do is you would book what we call the gait and posture start. So it's the injury start. The link that I've put in with this video will down the bottom of that page that you go into where you can download the app. There is all of the options for booking reformer with us if you've got injuries. So it's the injury package. Now that package is very different to just coming into a class. So what happens first is you see a healthcare professional first. So you're actually seeing, whether it be myself, Ollie, Jess, and we assess you. Now, what would happen is we would take a full thorough history. We're usually spending a good hour and a half with you, and we are assessing your posture, we're assessing your biomechanics, we're looking at your movement patterns, or we're discussing your health condition. Depends what's going on with you. Everybody's different. And then from there, we then devise a bit of a plan. That package also includes, with that full assessment, it also includes 2 one-to-one sessions with that as well. Now, for some people, they've maybe had some issues where we've scanned them as well in those sessions. So we've maybe done diagnostic ultrasound scanning on them to rule stuff out or get further tests if needed. So everybody's different, but it's an injury package. So it's essentially, let's have a thorough assessment of you first so that we can then be better placed and where you then go. Now, from there, you get 2 one-to-one sessions, but again, that depends on you and what you need. Some people won't ever progress into classes because it wouldn't be appropriate, but the majority of people do. The 2 one-to-one sessions, based on all of our assessments, you will generally be, Jess normally does these, you will generally be with Jess, who's our sports rehabilitator, and she will then take that information that we've gathered from those assessments and then build that into getting you moving on the machines. Now that usually will happen over in our Kinning Park studio because we're thoroughly set up for that over there. So this over here, the way that we're set up here, we don't have, if you to see the Kinning Park facility, it's entirely set up. We've got a big biomechanics lab. We've got all of our kit there that we need. Over here, we don't have all of that biomechanics. We don't have the bio lab. We don't have the same equipment over here. So you would definitely have your assessment over there, even if you're wanting to attend classes here or one-to-ones here, that's fine. But your assessment, your initial assessment would be over there. And from there, it's then getting you started based on your needs, right? I can't tell you exactly what that looks like because it's different for everybody else, but that's a little package and that's your injury package. Now, I should talk about the beginner's course many, many, many years ago. When we've been teaching Pilates, well, I've personally been teaching Pilates since about, oh my goodness, 2020, 2002, 2003. And yeah, been involved in it a long time, since like 1999, but properly set up my set up my studio, my first studio in 2003. So good God, quite a wee while ago now. And what we used to always do, I always would make somebody when I started out. We used to do this 6-week course. And I remember renting out, for those of you that are maybe watching this that have known me for many years, my first place that I rented out was Maryhill Community Central Halls. And I remember teaching to like 2 people for months. And I remember somebody phoning up and thinking they were going to become a pilot, Pilates. Thought he was going to become a pilot. I don't know whether he was taking the mick or not, or whether they actually thought I was running a 6 weeks learning to fly a plane. Anyway, they did not come to my class. And then I went down towards Partick, actually not far from here, down to the Annex Healthy Living Centre. I think that's still there. And then Partick Borough Halls. And then from there, and that would have been like early noughties, I was doing that. And then from there, I then went up to my home. I lived in Downhill in the West End at that time. I was doing stuff from the house, and then I rented my first commercial premises down Ruthven Lane, just off Byres Road. So I had a tiny wee studio down there. I mean, it was tiny. It was like a hut. It's now a record store. So if you're ever down there, it now sells relic vinyls. Still the same flooring that I had. All the light, nothing's been changed at all. It's so bizarre. It was just full of old records. And then I rented another just across the way and still in Ruthven Lane. I took a bigger commercial premises, and I believe that's now the dance school. So I was there for a number of years, and then I moved over to Sandiford Place over in Charing Cross. We were there a few years, then up to Park Circus, and then from Park Circus we lost the lease there. Our lease the premises get converted into flats. So we then went over, and that's how we ended up on the south side. But through all of that, everybody had to do this 6-week course, right? So everybody had to do, even for my mat Pilates, you started with a 6-week course. And when we introduced the reformers, that would have been what, about 2011, and when we were over in Park Circus, and it was Park Circus Place where we were. That's when we then started doing the beginners courses for the reformers. And actually, up until very, very, very recently, we're talking a matter of months, we had always made people do a beginner's course. And you will still find that on our website. If you look, you can choose to do the beginner's course. Now, the beginner's course has changed so much over the years. It used to be a 6-week course where you would come on the same day, same time for 6 weeks with the same people. I loved it. I loved doing it like that, but there were so many restrictions to that. You can imagine, right? I can't make that week. And how do I make up a week? And if I miss a week, can I still get in? And all it was just a constant hustle to try and fill it. And it just became annoying for everybody. So we moved it to what we've got, something similar to what we've got today, which is basically 2 one-to-one sessions. And with that wee package, you get 4 class credits as well to get into your classes. And remember, if you download it app, you get a free class as well. So actually with that, you're getting like 5 classes and 2 one-to-ones. The beginner's course is £110. And essentially it's the cost of getting a couple of Pilates one-to-ones. But it's invaluable time because it's just you with that teacher, and you don't need to have injuries to do that, but it might just be like you're like, actually I would just like to take the time to go through the machine, to go through the body, to go through the moves, to go through this, all the sequences in a constructed way. So we go through, we've got set things each week. We teach set things on the reformer, so that there's a clear course. And with that, you also get access to our online course that goes through those moves and things as well and breaks the moves down for you. So you've got a much clearer understanding of those moves. And I personally think that your results that you get are far better as well. So that's the beginner's course. And we will leave that on because I know that there'll be somebody, you'll be watching this and you'll be like, actually, that's how I want to start. I don't want to just go to a beginner's class and I might be missing bits and there's still loads of people there. I can't really ask lots of questions in the same way that I could in a one-to-one session, because it's all about you in a one-to-one session. And once you've done your beginner's course, your 2 one-to-ones, you then just progress into the classes. You don't need to then do beginner's classes unless you absolutely want to. I think you'd be done with it by that point, but you might enjoy that. You can also continue on with one-to-one sessions. That's something that many clients do. It just works with, that's just, they prefer that. So that is how you get started. It's a lot like that. I realise we're like 30 minutes in and I'm waffling on about how you get started, but I hope the point is made there that it's not difficult to get started, but it just depends on you and where you're starting from and what you want and what kind of learner you are. If you've got injuries, if you've not got injuries, I can't give you a this is it for everybody because we're all different. So if you do want to get started and you've got no injuries, then just download the app. That's definitely the best way to get started. Just download the app. When you download the app, don't freak out if your class credit doesn't go right away because it is a manual thing for us. We do check and we manually then credit you a class. So you can come in and just give it a go. It gives you a flavour for us because we are, everybody that works with us has, I don't think there's any instructors that's not done our training with us. To be honest, everybody has. So they've all come through our teacher training as well. So they're all they all teach very similar. And it's very much from the lineage. Anybody that knows the lineage of your teacher training, it's from that kind of Kathy Grant lineage. So it is very direct is the word. It's very technical. It's very precise. This is exactly where I want your body to be. This is where I want you to feel, do, go. So it's very tactile. We will touch you in your sessions, obviously with permission. So we're not just standing back and verbalizing. We are at you, we're touching, we're adjusting. And that's either for you or it's not. So that's the kind of place we are. So I kind of think, well, we'll give you a freebie. I think just getting a vibe for the place. We're very chilled. We're very laid back. It's not a posy place, whatever that means. Mass ranges of age groups. Oh my goodness. Kinning Park, I would say, is our age demographic over there, I think, is older than the West End. Our West End clients seem to be a lot younger. Don't know whether it's just the kind of students and stuff over here. So they do tend to be a bit younger, but not to say like some of our clients are in their 70s that are coming here as well, which is not actually that old for us. We've got clients over in Kinning Park that are in their 90s. If you can, I always kind of joke, they say, oh, can I do this? I was like, well, can you go out and walk? And can you walk up the stairs? And of course you can. So there's no restrictions or age, absolutely not. So it's varied. So you've got to be cool with that. And then male to female, we have got tons, I mean, like genuinely loads of guys that come to our classes. Men, I'll be honest, tend to be more reactive with their health. They don't really think about stuff until something's a problem. Now that's a massive sweeping statement, I'm very aware, but it tends to be the case. It just tends to be that, you know, men have to be dragged along to something. And it's usually because, you know, their legs hanging off, something's really bad by the time they come to see us. But women tend to be more proactive. Now, obviously, that's me just being very sweeping statement, but yeah, just tends to be. But we've got loads of guys, but usually they've come through some sort of injury package, maybe get knee, hip, back problems, or they're coming because they want to improve their golf handicap. That's a biggie for us. We've got really competitive guys that one of their pals was coming with and improved his handicap, his golf, and then all his pals were coming saying, "Oh, can you make me better than him?" So that tends to be men, but there's a mix. So you're not going to be the only female, only male, only whatever. There's a total mix. Everybody's welcome. The other thing that we're developing, that we're looking at the minute, is to look at teen classes. I've got young girls. I've got 3 kids. My oldest is 14, my youngest is 5, and then I've got Lily in the middle who's 12. And I'm very aware that there isn't really anywhere, especially Emmy who's 14, kind of body changing, wanting to exercise, does go to the gym, but this would just be amazing for her. And then I've got patients that I see, pediatric patients, that I'm like, oh God, you need to strengthen your hips up and we want to get that core activation, make you aware of it. And I've got nowhere really I can send them apart from sending them rehab. And it's kind of, that's a funny age because you don't want to be sending them kids rehab to do, but the adult rehab's very boring for them. Just thinking, God, if there was like a teen Pilates reformer class, it would be absolutely ideal for them. So that's something we are looking very soon to put on. So we're thinking that's going to be West End based, probably around about 4:30, to give enough time for school, get the kids down. I was just kind of thinking my daughter normally finishes about 3:45, so she can just head on down after school and get into her reformer class, but it will be for under 18s and I think 13 plus. So from, you know, teens basically. If you're in your teens, then it is the teen Pilates reformer. So watch this space for that. And if it's something, I'd love some feedback on that. I'd also love some feedback on the name because I am so uncool now that I'm not in touch with what would be a good name for it. I was talking to one of my patients who was in the other day who's 14. I was asking what would be a good name. And I had said teen Pilates, and I thought, oh, that sounds a bit, maybe it's probably not a good name. So she was saying, yeah, Pilates for teens or something like that. So if you've got any ideas on that, it would be great. But I want to just keep it simple. I think if I try and think up something too funky, it'll probably be so uncool that they'll just like, oh, that's some stupid old person trying to appeal to us. So if you have any ideas on a Pilates reformer class name for teenagers, And I'm primarily thinking of girls at the minute. That's not to say that boys wouldn't be welcome as well, they would. But I'm more thinking that hip, pelvis, body awareness, confidence, posture, and really just setting them up to be adults that are confident and aware of their body. I wish I'd had that at that age. And I really do think it could be brilliant for them. So watch this space. That's something that we are working on. Right, I'll sign out. If you have any questions on anything, don't hesitate to reach out to myself and the team. The phone number is 0141 3630306. I don't know, I remembered that. You can also email us. It's hello@therehabhub.co.uk. You can instant messages on every channel you can imagine, from TikTok to Instagram to you name it, and somebody will get back to you. And you can text us, you can WhatsApp us. There's a million ways that you can reach out to us. But yeah, reach out if you're not sure of, like, if you're kind of watch this and you're thinking, I still don't really know where to go or where to start. Just phone up and just, ask, or just email us in and we can give you a wee call back and have a conversation with you. One of the team can chat you through. But essentially, don't be afraid of, I don't know, maybe this is an intimidating environment. I hope it's not, but it probably is. If you're maybe worried about, that kind of thing, I don't want it to feel intimidating. It's really not. It honestly is really nice. Everybody's really nice, dead inclusive. So maybe, I don't know, maybe you've not done anything for a while. Maybe your body confidence isn't there. You're maybe just feeling a wee bit out of shape. Please don't let that hold you back. Good God, genuinely everybody's welcome. As long as you can walk up the stairs and you've got no serious injuries, book the injury package if you do, then honestly you'll be fine, right? You might. I usually always joke and just say, look, we have to have a bit of a sense of humour. We're probably going to be rubbish at this for a while, and most people are. Like, most people when they first do it is like, unless you've been, a ballerina, a dancer, or somebody that's like amazing, an athlete, amazing body awareness, you probably will be fairly rubbish. But that's okay. You'll get better. That's the most rubbish you're going to be. And then you do get better, I promise. And then you feel great. You really, really feel fabulous. It is such a lovely method. And the results really do speak for themselves. I always kind of say it's like your health insurance for your body. Right, I'll sign out. Reach out, any questions, and we'd be happy to help. Thanks for listening.